New revelations are raising sharp questions about the Trump administration's back-channel diplomacy with Moscow, following the publication of a leaked transcript that details a private call between President Donald Trump's chief envoy and a senior Kremlin official. The conversation, first reported by Bloomberg News, offers an unusually candid look inside the early stages of negotiations over a proposed plan to end Russia's war in Ukraine. According to the transcript, Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff spoke by phone with Vladimir Putin's longtime foreign policy advisor Yuri Ushakov on October 14th. During the call, Witkoff is heard advising Ushakov on how Putin should approach President Trump in order to secure a favorable conversation about a proposed peace framework. Witkoff reportedly suggested that Putin begin the call by congratulating Trump for the recently negotiated Gaza ceasefire, telling Ushakov that the Russian leader should frame himself as supportive of the agreement and portray Trump as, quote, a real peaceman. Witkoff is also heard encouraging Putin to express respect for the president's leadership as an opening to discussing Ukraine. The White House has not disputed the authenticity of the transcript. And speaking aboard Air Force One, President Trump defended his envoy's guidance, calling it standard negotiating procedure. Trump said Witkoff's role is to help sell the emerging peace plan to both sides, adding, "He's got to sell Ukraine to Russia, and he's got to sell it to Ukraine. That's what a deal maker does."
But that's a standard thing, because he's got to sell this to Ukraine. He's got to sell Ukraine to Russia. That's what a deal maker does. You got to say, look, they want this. You got to convince them with this. That's a very standard form of negotiation. I haven't heard it, but I heard it was standard negotiation. And I would imagine he's saying the same thing to Ukraine, because each party has to give and take.
The leak comes at a pivotal moment. Trump has announced that the peace proposal has been, in his words, fine-tuned, and confirmed that he is sending Witkoff to meet directly with Vladimir Putin. At the same time, Army Secretary Dan Driscoll has been dispatched to engage with Ukrainian officials in parallel talks. The president has indicated that he himself may meet both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but only after negotiators make further progress. Additional leaked recordings reviewed by Bloomberg also show Kremlin insiders debating how strongly Moscow should push its demands in the peace process. In an October 29th call, Russian investment figure Kirill Dmitriev and Ushakov discussed how closely the United States might align with Russia's preferred terms. Those terms reportedly include Ukraine surrendering the entire Donbas region and sharply restricting its military, as well as an agreement that Ukraine will never join NATO. Meanwhile, the White House Communications Office defended Witkoff's actions, saying he speaks with both Russian and Ukrainian officials nearly every day in an effort to create what it calls a realistic path to negotiations. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said the proposal was authored by the United States, but shaped with input from both Kyiv and Moscow. As the leak circulates and diplomatic reactions intensify, pressure is growing inside Washington and across Europe for more transparency about the proposed plan. With talks underway on multiple fronts, and Witkoff now preparing for a face-to-face meeting with Vladimir Putin, the path ahead will test not only the geopolitical balance between the United States, Russia, and Ukraine, but also the political credibility of the emerging peace effort.